wasn't yours. I'm going back, I'm going back, I'm going back, I'm going back, I'm going back to who I was before. I like me better, I like me better. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So we're back and we're ranking more of the best-selling makeup products out there. If you missed the first one I did where I was ranking foundations, this time around I'm doing eyeshadow palettes, and let me go ahead and remind you what the different tiers mean. Okay, so the top tier is You Can't Sit With Us. Those are the products you can't sit with them. You've seen the movie, you know what that means. They're the best of the best in my opinion. No one else is touching them. The next tier is She's Cute. You know, she's not the best, but she's not the worst either. She's cute. I would use it frequently, not all the time. It's not an all-time fave, but she's cute, right? Then there's meh. You know, I don't really feel anything about you. I look at you and it's like, okay, I could use you one day and be like, my face looks nice. And I could use you the next day and say, I should have left you where I found you. So it's just kind of meh. Now the next one is, if you like it, I love it. Which means it ain't for me, but if you like it, I love it for you. Okay, and then the last one is I don't know her. I probably do know her, but I would prefer in my mind to think that I don't know her, so I don't. And that is what these things are being ranked by today. Now it's a little different with eyeshadow palettes because I feel like, yeah, they're eyeshadow palettes. I can say the name and you're like, yes, totally know her, thought about it. And then I think like sometimes eyeshadow palettes just get grouped by the brand. You know, you say the brand and you're like, oh, they're known for having good eyeshadow palettes, or oh, they're known for having bad eyeshadow palettes. But like, none of them really jump out at you. So I feel like this ranking might be a little different. We're gonna do the best that we can, okay? So if you guys wanna know what I think, then let's go. So the first palette I have is the BH Cosmetics Take Me Back to Brazil palette. I have to put this in meh. Because I have a love-hate relationship with this palette. Now, it's a colorful palette. Y'all know it's up my alley because it's colorful, it's bright. I like vibrant colors and stuff like that, but the very first time I tried that thing, it wasn't giving me any of that. It wasn't giving me vibrant. It wasn't giving me that, probably because of, you know, how certain eyeshadow shades appear on different skin tones. So I'm saying meh because it was one of those products where I could pick it up one day and, you know, like if I really, you know, get the white base, get all of that type of stuff and like really get to digging in that palette, it can look very nice on, but like on other days I don't want to have to do all that. You know, I just want to have to put the thing on and go about my business. But this palette has gotten me through, you know, different Halloween looks. You know, Halloween's usually more colorful, you're using more colors and stuff like that. But again, I am typically using it on paint that already has color. You know, like you use this to set paint that you're putting on your face, on your body during those Halloween looks. So again, it already kind of has that base to it to help it out. So that's why I'm saying meh. You know, I have a newer version because they sent me a couple of those they did a couple Take Me Back to Brazil launches. I still have it. I'm not gonna get rid of it just for that reason of like, you know, Halloween looks and stuff like that. But other than that, it's just pretty meh to me. The next one I have is the LORAC Pro palette. I don't know her. Okay, I wish I didn't know her. I wish she didn't know my money that I spent on it but you know what, looking back at it, it was my fault. Like knowing what I know now, I should have known that palette was not for me. Just looking at it, you know, it gives very dry, it gives very uncooked. Looking at it, looking at the shades, the undertones of them, I should have known what it was going to give on my face. But if you were here back in the day, you know, this is a very hyped up eyeshadow palette. It was in yearly favorites for years. So you want to try everything that you see everyone else trying, right? But you know, like now we grown now. So we know like everything ain't meant for us. And when I just tell you a chalk dusty, dry, and it's like the whole brand gives that, honestly. The whole brand just gives uncut. Like you gotta throw it back in the oven for a couple more minutes because I don't think you intended for it to come out like this, but they did. So that's my own fault, right? So it's like, at this point, I don't know her. I don't want to know any of the other things that they're coming out with. We're good. Next up, we've got Colourpop. We've got Colourpop. Now, I think it'd be a little hard to pick 1, 2, maybe even 10 palettes from Colourpop and say, you know, these are their best known, best selling
palettes because they launch about 1, 2, 3, 10 a month. So, but I think this one, the Bare Necessities one, I can say is the one I feel I see them promote the most and they've kept around like the longest type thing. And honestly, it's the one that I just remember off the top of my head. So we're just gonna have to go with that eyeshadow palette. Now that palette and just palettes in general from Colourpop, I already told y'all how I feel about them. If you like it, I love it, okay? If you want to go out there, especially since Colourpop is very affordable, you know, use some of their eyeshadows, test them out, especially if you're just getting into eyeshadow. You don't want to spend that much. Play around. They've got colorful palettes, neutral palettes, the same palettes. So that's why I say, like, if you like it, I love it. But I personally, you know, don't gravitate towards them that often because, you know, again, my skin tone. Their palettes, they take some elbow grease, let's just say that for me. A lot of them take some, even the color ones, they take some elbow grease from me. So if you like it, I love it. So next up, I've got NYX. Like, see, again, that's another one of those, like, you've seen their palettes, you've probably used their palettes, but you can't really like pinpoint which one is their like best sell. You know, they have ones that they say are their best sellers, but I'm thinking you say the name of the palette and people are like, oh yeah, I've seen that palette, I know that palette. They've got those Modern Dreamers, you know, those like 35 pan palettes. They've got the little mini ones, like 9 pans or however many pans those are. This one I have here is the Ultimate Shadow palette in Brights. Again, going with this one just because I like color, stuff like that. And I feel like this is one that probably sticks out to a lot of you. This one I would have to put in She's Cute. That's where I'd have to put this one. She's not sitting up there with You Can't Sit With Us, but she's not like meh either. You know, it's affordable. It's for the vibe that you're going for, which if you're buying this palette is a more colorful vibe with your eyeshadow. It gets the job done. Amongst drugstore palettes, I'd have to, eyeshadows, I'd have to put them in the, you know, like She's Cute, You Can't Sit With Us, but She's Cute category. And that's really where I stand with this one. I don't really feel like there's anything about it that makes me go meh or anything like that, but I don't know, she's just in that, you're okay, you're cute. Those other ones, the Modern Dreamer, I can't remember what the second one is called. I have I might have 3 of those, I don't remember. Like those I would say meh. I could take it or leave it whatever day that I'm wearing them, but this one I would put in She's Cute. Next up is Huda, and I feel like she's kind of like NYX, where, you know, she's got the little mini ones that people are obsessed with. They're called the Obsession palettes. And then she's got the larger palettes, which people are also obsessed with when she comes out with them. But I'm thinking, you know, like specific ones, like this is your all-time. Actually, a couple years ago, she had 1 or 2 that they stayed out of stock when you tried to go buy them. I can't remember the name of them though. So I'm just gonna treat this how I treat the next one. The little mini Obsession palettes, those are She's Cute. Okay, She's Cute. Those are cute. You swatch them, you just feel, at least that's what you get from Huda Beauty. Like her stuff, her complexion, her eyeshadows, that stuff, you get like pigment, right? You get rich in those. You get, listen, she be doing what she has to do with some of these products. Now, the larger palettes, for me, in my opinion, those are meh. Those are, you know, I can use it and be satisfied with it. When I say meh, I feel like I'll use it and I'll like it, I'll be satisfied with it, but I'm not reaching for it every day, right? It's not one of those where we can argue about this. And I have a PowerPoint presentation on why my argument is correct on this product. That's what I'm thinking when I say that She's Cute or You Can't Sit With Us. That's what that means. Meh doesn't necessarily mean like it's bad, right? But I mean like those are the products that they just kind of sit around and you use them when you use them. I see you when I see you and I like you, but you know, I ain't writing home about you. That's how I feel about some of her larger pan palettes. Granted, I've tried 2 now at this point, right? Yes, I think something like that. But if I had to pick, I would probably go with the little mini ones. And you know, they're smaller, travel friendly, all that stuff. So that's how I feel on Huda. Now I'm gonna ruffle some feathers on this one, but that's okay because someone had to say it. Next up is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar Eyeshadow Palette. I don't know her. the what palette? Because it's not giving chocolate. I mean, looking at it, it's giving like that chocolate that's been at the bottom of your purse for a couple months. That's the type of chocolate that this is giving. Because let me tell y'all, I was excited to try this when I finally did, because I tried it like years after the hype had started dying down. Because if you were around back in the day, you know, like, this is another one of those you just had to try it, right? And I mean, looking at it, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have any problems with this, right? It's the chocolate bar palette. Chocolate, right? Put browns on browns, we should be fine. When I tell y'all, I tried that palette for the first time, wore it in a video, and people were telling me that they like that shade of gray on me. Yeah, they were saying I like that shade of gray on you when I was wearing chocolate browns on my face. Absolutely not. Okay, I don't like any of that chocolate collection that they got, because, you know, they took this and like ran with it for 5 years with the chocolate palettes they were coming out with. They even branched off into the peach category. I didn't like that either, because it was the shades don't do what they're supposed to do. Like, you look at them, you see what I was saying about with the Huda, she gives you like rich pigmented, you look at them and you're like, this is what the color should look like on me, but it doesn't. Okay, so I don't know her. No. So next up is Pat McGrath, and I'm talking the Mothership collection, you know, the larger panned palettes. And I feel like the one I would say, because they're all pretty like her best selling things, but I want to say 5 was her, like, I saw that the most. Like, I saw so many people talking about that's what made me buy it type thing. So I'm gonna say that one, but I honestly feel like all of hers are like probably like, once they launch, you're gonna hear people talk about it. It's gonna sell out, like that type of stuff, right? Now, I'm probably gonna ruffle some feathers again, but I don't mean to. On the Too Faced one, I meant to ruffle some feathers because someone had to say it. On this one, I don't mean to, but again, like, someone has to say it. If I had to rank these palettes, especially that one, I would have to say, you know, she's cute. That's where I'd have to put this one. I'm not putting it in You Can't Sit With Us, only because it gets the job done, right? It's pigmented, it works on my skin tone, blends, plays nicely, all that stuff. But it's still not there for me as like the best of the best that I've tried, all that stuff. And sometimes I don't like the color stories of some of those. I know we're supposed to be talking about like Mothership 5, which I like the color story of that one. Like, that, again, that's probably why that was the first one that I purchased. But like, sometimes they be having like just a random green in there, like a random blue. A lot of palettes do that, but you know, like that, those palettes aren't cheap and stuff like that. So I feel like my experience with them, what I've tried, I would just put those in. She's cute. I like it when I use it, but you know, again. So next up is e.l.f. Cosmetics Bite Size Eyeshadows. We have our first You Can't Sit With Us. Yeah, that's right. That's where I'm putting those bite-sized palettes. You Can't Sit With Us, okay? First of all, they're like $3, okay? But the quality is there. The pigment is there. The first time I tried one of the bite-size, I was blown away by the payoff that I got with that eyeshadow. Then I was like, for $3? And they've got a whole bunch of different, you know, because they're only 4-pan palettes, I think. Yeah, 4-pan, 4. So you're like, okay, you're limited in colors there, but they have like so many of them. So they've got greens, they've got blues, they've got neutrals, you know, they've got blacks, white, like there's a lot of colors amongst them. And again, they're $3. So you can buy, you know, like 3 sets, enough to give you like what a normal eyeshadow palette might have in there. And now you've got your different variety of colors in there. You've got quality in there. I gotta give credit where credit is due. My favorite is the jalapeno one, because y'all know my favorite color is green. But listen, do not sleep on those just because they're e.l.f., because I feel like a lot of people sleep on e.l.f. 1, because of the price, and 2, because e.l.f. is another one of those companies that kind of dupes what other brands do, and people don't like that. But listen, don't sleep on them. Okay, this one had a stronghold on the beauty community for years, okay? So much so they even came out with like a second version of it, which didn't get as much hype as the first one, but still, you know, know, I think sold out for the most part. That is the Morphe 350 Nature Glow Artistry palette. I know this is like a favorite for makeup artists. It's very convenient. They've got like all the shades you would need in there for the type of functions that makeup artists do. Weddings, proms, you know, maternity shoots, stuff like that, where you usually have a little bit more neutral, natural eyeshadow looks. So I understand like that part of the hype. I have tried this palette. It is a nice palette. I feel like this is kind of consistent with the other palettes that Morphe comes out with, like their formula thing. And if I had to rank it, I would say meh. It's somewhere between meh and if you like it, I love it. Actually, it might be if you like it, I love it. Yeah, now it's if you like it, I love it. Okay, for me, like I'm not reaching for a Morphe palette nowadays, but if you, especially like I said, because they do have a lot of colors in there, they do have, you know, this neutral version, but there are, you know, like a colorful version, stuff like that. It'll get the job done, all that stuff, you know, the shades. For the most part, if it looks like it's supposed to be a neutral brown shade, it's gonna look like a neutral brown on my skin tone, but I'm just not reaching for it nowadays. So if you like it, I love it. But for me, you know, I've got others I live. Do y'all remember these palettes from Maybelline? This one is the blushed nudes. I think they had like they had other versions of these, but this is the one that we're talking about. I would have to put this in, again, if you like it, I love it. You know, you want to go out there and try it, you go ahead, but me, no. Like just looking at this one, it's giving very Pepto-Bismol, but like if you drain the life out of the Pepto, you know, if you like took all the nutrients, anything that was good about the Pepto out of it and drained it, like this is what would be left. That's what this is giving me. Just no, again, now I'm at a point where I can just look at it and I know like that's not actually gonna look like that type of pink on me, no matter what type of prepping you want to do. Because people always say like, well, what if you used like a white base? Well, what if you did this? What if you did? Okay, but like there are things I don't have to do that with. So I can just leave this where I found it, which is why I'm leaving it where I found it. And if you want to go ahead and try it, then you go ahead and try it. But this one, for me personally, is a no. Have we talked about a palette from them? Yeah, no, we have not. This is from Urban Decay. It is their Naked 3 palette. Again, one of the most hyped palettes in the history of the beauty community. It's great for weddings, great for proms, great for all this. No, I don't know her. Any of the Naked palette variations except for one, which I'll get into, but like the main ones, the early, you know, pioneers of this collection, absolutely not for any of them, for the same reasons as the Too Faced ones, because the colors are not giving what they're giving in the pans or on the other people that you see it when you're using like my skin tone or darker, right? Just absolutely not. Again, I don't care what anyone says about any type of prepping that you do for your eyes. They're giving very chalk, very dusty. I don't want any parts of them, okay? But yet this is the collection that Urban Decay will just not let their grasp go of, okay? They continue to heavily push this in everyone's face, and they don't even really push the one Naked palette out of all the ones that they've launched that was actually doing something. That was Naked Heat. That one I would put in She's Cute. I would put Naked Heat in She's Cute. Like they came out with Cherry, all those, like, no, I don't know any of those other ones. Naked Heat, I would say She's Cute. Now, the eyeshadow palette from Urban Decay, which deserves to be in You Can't Sit With Us, you already know if you've been a longtime viewer of mine. That is the Born to Run palette. Okay, because that is the palette that has come from Urban Decay that does what it has to do across skin tones, okay? And they don't, I've ranted in several videos on how I feel about Urban Decay and the products that they do push and the ones that they don't, but that's how I feel about their Naked collections. I just, Next up, this is from Tarte. It is their Tarte Lit in Bloom Clay palette. Once again, I don't know her. Do you see a theme going on with a lot of the best-selling, iconic, holy grail palettes back in the day? Look at declutter videos nowadays for eyeshadow palettes, and these are the first palettes to go. There are some people who are still like die hard, I'm not letting go of this eyeshadow palette, but for the most part, they are quick to go in a declutter video because we're older now, okay? We know more now, we have more options now. Like back then, like you just had to make what you had work for you, but now it's just kind of like, you know, those kind of weren't as fire as we thought they were. And this one, absolutely not. I don't know. Look at it. Look at this palette and then tell me what I'm supposed to do with it on my eyes. And that's what a majority of Tarte's eyeshadow palettes look like. So even like back in the day, I was not big on, I tried one, I think it was this one, or like one of the other variations of it, because again, once they found a, you know, palette that took off for them, they just stuck with it and kept giving you like Tartelette 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15. I was like, I'm good on your eyeshadows. You can look at it and tell like how it looks in the pan is not how it's going to look on me, not even close to being flattering, so I don't even try and waste my time on it. This is a, I don't know her, I'm okay not knowing her, I don't wanna know what the business is, you stay over there, I'm gonna stay over here, and we good. And the last one I have to talk about, I know is going to hurt some feelings, probably start some debates in the comments down below, but I said what I meant and meant what I said. It is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. If you like it, I love it. I've discussed this in videos before. I was like, you know, like years later, especially comparing it to some of the other eyeshadow palettes that Anastasia came out with, I know it is probably their most hyped eyeshadow palette and probably one of the most best-selling eyeshadow palettes just across makeup brands in general, right? If you like it, I love it. I am not going to reach for it. I've decluttered the one that I did. Mind you, like the one that I had, like I was hitting pan on it, right? So I did use it. But like I said, again, now that we've got the other options, that we've got the other things that we can gravitate towards, I'm not reaching for you because I don't have to, because I don't have to make you work anymore. That's what I was doing with that eyeshadow palette compared to like the other, and mind you, this is like a pinker, oranger, browner palettes. Yes, I know those aren't words before anyone says anything. So like I should be okay, but like I still had to make it work for me. So I don't really care for that eyeshadow palette. But if you want to pick it up, if you want to try it out, you go right ahead. I have to say the same exact thing for their Soft Glam eyeshadow palette. I know that's like a fave for people, but again, if you like it, I love it. That's how I feel on that one. Now, you already know which eyeshadow palette they launched that is in their You Can't Sit With Us category, okay? Because I am hitting pans on that eyeshadow palette. You can't even buy it anymore. Is the Jackie Aina collaboration palette. That is the palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills that goes in their You Can't Sit With Us palette, okay? And it's like a more modern version of their modern renaissance that actually, you know, is like really flattering for my skin tone. It is an everyday, well, yeah, pretty much everyday eyeshadow palette for me. That one, I told you guys, the Makeup by Tammy eyeshadow palette. I've been reaching for that e.l.f. Chipotle palette a lot lately, but that's not the point of this, right? So their Anastasia Jackie collaboration palette goes in their You Can't Sit With Us category. Their Prism palette, I'm not gonna put that in You Can't Sit With Us, but she's definitely in there. She's cute. Like those are probably, yeah, my 1 and 2 top favorite palettes from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Prism and the Jackie palette. Their Alyssa Edwards, she goes and she's cute. I'd put that in she's cute. But like all the other ones that they came out with, Subculture for me goes in I don't know her, just because like it wasn't even like the blending and stuff like that for that eyeshadow, because, you know, if you remember Subculture Gate, it wasn't even like how it blended and stuff like that for me. It was the color payoff for me that puts it in I don't know her. So that's mostly where I feel on Anastasia palettes. They do have their, you know, few gems, but for the most part, if you like it, I love it. So those are all the eyeshadow palettes I have to talk about. I feel like I dragged a lot of them because the only ones in You Can't Sit With Us are e.l.f., the Jackie palette, and Born to Run. Mind you, the Jackie palette and the Born to Run aren't even like the bigger name sellers for these companies. You know, they push the Naked, the Chocolate, the Modern Renaissance more than they do those. That happens to a lot of these companies. They don't push the ones that are actually their, what should be, you know, like their best sellers, stuff like that. There are a lot of people who don't even know Born to Run exists. So that, I find that with, oh, you know which else I would put in You Can't Sit With Us, the $78 palette from Pat. Yeah, so I would put the motherships in the she's cute category, but that mega mothership, even though the pans are smaller in those, that's the one I would put in You Can't Sit With Us, because they're giving you like all the quality that you get with the mothership palettes, but it's a better color story with that palette, and you get the same quality, you get the same payoff that you get with the other ones, but like you get to experience a little more with the mega mothership. So that one I would put in You Can't Sit With Us, but again, you see how like that's not technically the palette that's, you know, the most iconic one to come from the brand, that type of thing. Looking at some of the ones that are the most iconic, holy grail best sellers from these companies, a lot of them are a lot of fluff. Someone had to say it. So those are my thoughts. Let me know down below what are some other, you know, best selling all-time eyeshadow palettes down below, your thoughts on them, your thoughts on the ones that we talked about in this video. Let me know what you would want to see next. I know a lot of people talked about concealers, so let me know if you want to see setting powder, stuff like that. All of that down below. Make sure to thumbs up, comment, subscribe, turn notification bells down below. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Yeah, 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 yeah.